Good morning. Thank you for joining me for an update on the city's response to the ongoing pandemic. Before I share some updates, however, I'd like to take a moment to express my continued condolences to the Alcorn family and all of the men and women of the Frederick Police Department. As many of you know, the Frederick Police Department lost one of its own this past Sunday, a pillar in the department and in this community, Lieutenant Stu Alcorn. I have been overwhelmed by the response from the community that I have seen, and I know that it means a great deal to the Alcorn family and to the police department to have this community's support and care during this very difficult time. With that, I would like to give a few moments to the Chief of Police to share some remarks and talk about what is planned for Stu. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. On Sunday morning, this past Sunday morning, I received a phone call that no police chief ever wants to get. I learned that Stu Alcorn, a beloved member of our department, a lieutenant in charge of our criminal investigations division, known by many, many people and loved by many people in and out of the department, died. Our entire department is still in shock, and we want to send our deepest condolences to his family, his loving wife, Jen, and his kids, Mackenzie, Addison, and Drew. These are some really very rough days, but we're coming together as a department and as a community to bury Stu with the honor and dignity that he deserves. He was a pillar of this community. If you think of the words model police officer, Stu Alcorn is the person that comes to mind. So with that being said, we just want to thank the community for their outpouring of support. The other day, as our department was joined by members of the public, we lined the street on Court Street to salute Stu as he came home from Baltimore from the medical examiner's office on his way to the funeral home. And it was a very touching tribute. So we appreciate everyone who came out for that. I wanted to share with the public some of the arrangements that we were able to nail down last night in case anyone would like to come pay their respects. The viewing for Stu will be tomorrow at Stouffer Funeral Home on Opossum Town Pike from 2 p.m. till 4 p.m. and then again from 4 p.m. until, and then again from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. The funeral will take place on Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning at the International Community Church at 123 Byte Drive. That's B-Y-T-E Drive. So with that being said, I just want to thank one more time the community, send our love and our best wishes to the Alcorn family and to all the members of the Frederick Police Department. Thank you all.
Chief, thank you very much. The city and the entire organization continues to stand with the police department and offers its support in any ways that it can to help get through this very difficult time. Lieutenant Alcorn's contributions to our community will be missed, but they will never be forgotten. As we near the end of August, it is hard to believe that we are also still talking about COVID-19 and the impacts of the pandemic on our community. While I know we all wish and want this pandemic to simply go away, the reality is that we are in the midst of another spike. Our ICU and acute beds at Frederick Health have increased significantly in the last 3 weeks. Our case rate is higher than it was last year at this time and has doubled in the last week. Despite 60% of our community being fully vaccinated, we are still in the thick of this fight against COVID-19. So let me be clear, there is still work we need to do as a community. The governor's declaration of a state of emergency and catastrophic health crisis in Maryland expired at midnight on August 15th. When the Board of Aldermen voted last April to extend the city's state of emergency without limit, my pledge at that time was that I would look at what and how the state was doing and was unlikely to deviate substantially. At the time, my hope was that it would be obvious when the emergency declaration was lifted that the pandemic was in the past. Though the worst likely is in the past, Frederick County is at a high transmission level right now, as is much of the state. I believe our community and our organization need to see lower transmission rates and hit certain transmission and vaccination targets before I can comfortably say there is no longer a state of emergency in Frederick. Thus, I will not be rescinding the City of Frederick's state of emergency at this time. In consultation with my staff and local officials, I plan to keep the city's state of emergency in effect until at least 70% of this community is fully vaccinated, or we return to a state of low transmission per the CDC. While the city's state of emergency remains in effect, and because many of the economic impacts of the pandemic may take longer to resolve than the health ones, due dates on water bills and other billings, the waiver of interest accruals, as well as the extension of various licensure and certification renewals will continue. The end of the state's emergency declaration, however, does put in motion a few operational changes based on city ordinance passed since last March. First is the change to our pop-up dining programs. Pop-up dining, including the downtown parklets, parking lot use in other areas of the city, and expanded food truck opportunities will end on September 14th. It is our hope that these allowances over the last many months have enabled our local restaurants to survive the impacts of closures and reduced capacity. Our economic development and building departments are communicating with the businesses using these opportunities regarding the timing and transition of their removal. Secondly, the rental increase moratorium passed by the Board of Aldermen last year will end in mid-February of 2022 rather. I encourage anyone who has questions regarding their rent and who may need housing assistance to reach out to our Department of Housing and Human Services. Lastly, the extension of various planning and permitting approvals will end in August of 2022. I know our planning and permitting offices are communicating with our applicants who need extensions. Staff will keep the community updated as the deadlines for each of these actions near. While state mask mandates may have been removed over the summer, here at the City of Frederick, we will continue to adjust to ensure the employees of the city remain safe and healthy and are able to provide the services the residents and businesses of our city deserve and expect. Masks and a health screening are required for all employees and guests entering city facilities. The city has arranged to ensure that all employees have access to receive a vaccine easily during work. And we continue to follow CDC guidance for any cases that do occur to reduce transmission and risk to other employees, their families, and the community. So again, I remind everyone that there is still work to do as a community. I urge all residents who have not gotten vaccinated and who are medically eligible to do so. Now that the Pfizer vaccine is FDA approved, please consider taking that step for our community. We need more residents to wear masks, and we need more residents and employees to get vaccinated. It really is that simple. That is the answer to this pandemic. Get protected for you, your families, and for Frederick. Thank you.